Hello, welcome back. Today, well, I've already done a stream today, but yeah, second race of the day for F1 Manager Sim League is Austria. Alpine really looking good with form at the moment, as the grid lines up like this. On pole position, it's Théo Pourchaire in the V-Carb, with his teammate Lando Norris only just alongside, down in P2. I don't know why I had to compute it for a moment. But yeah, it's a 124 RB. Last time we saw that, if I'm right, was the Red Bulls back in Shanghai. Don't quote me on that. But then is Charles Leclerc, who has had a reignition of his form. This is his best qualifying since the Chinese GP, where he got pole, with Max Verstappen in 4th, Oscar Piastri 5th, Fernando Alonso 6th, Ricciardo 7th, Bottas 8th, Hadjar in 9th, George Russell 10th, Ollie Behrman 11th on the grid here today, with Yuki Tsunoda in 12th. And then Andrea Kimi Antonelli 13th, 14th Carlos Sainz, 15th Gasly, 16th is Albon, 17th Colapinto, 18th Lawson, and then Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez grid penalties, which I didn't filter in when it came to rendering grid, so let me just update. No, not grid penalties. Pit lane starts. But yeah, anyways, let's get into this race.
Final checks are being carried out.
As yeah, we'll just try and stimulate it up first. As you can see the grid, we have two cars lined up in the pits.
Lights out and away we go.
That was a very delayed pause, I am sorry. As now we can say away we go. Leclerc and Piastri both getting better starts than Lando Norris. But Leclerc up into P2, Piastri up into P3. The V-Carb's really looking decent here, but so are the Red Bulls. Red Bull haven't really been shown too much strength as of recent, but here they're probably looking like arguably the best car on the grid, as it's Leclerc in P2, Oscar Piastri P4, trying to reignite their championship charges here, especially Red Bull. Behrman has to do more in this race. He is currently 10th. It's going to be a point at least for now, but it's only lap 2, so I cannot really get too quick to judgments. As Colapinto and Hadjar swapping places there, as we just look down in the field a bit. Antonelli moving up into P10. Neither Haas or Aston Martin has scored a point so far this season. It's them, Lawson and Hadjar yet to do so as of this race. Could we possibly see one of them get their first points this season? If so, that's a really big statement to make. But what is a big statement is George Russell down the inside on Fernando Alonso. Bit of contact, now down the hill they go. Another dose of DRS for Russell. It's a triple DRS zone, so it's great for battling as Russell moves up into P8. As Leclerc, what I haven't paid attention to is now your race leader Théo Pourchaire down in P2, who is in absolutely amazing form down the inside there, but he fails to do so. It's another dose of DRS. Now trying to go up it down the inside. He will get the move done for now, but Leclerc better traction. Now Pourchaire having another blow at it down the inside into turn 4, unable to get past as of now, but it's brewing as we will shimmy our way down I'll be back in a minute and I'll let the race run. And I have returned in perfect time as Antonelli has overtaken Fernando Alonso. Piastri slammed with a mechanical fault and Tsunoda locking up in turn 1. The two Aston Martins now duelling. Down the hill we go. Alonso managing to hold his place over his teammate as Antonelli now chasing after the next car. George Russell, his next target. Will there be a move? Maybe. But we can't jump to conclusions still, as there's Porsche DRS on Charles Leclerc. This is the first time Charles Leclerc has led in a while, but Porsche really piling the pressure on. DRS once again, but this time it's on Charles Leclerc, which just allows him to pull ahead. If I'm right, last time Leclerc led was in China. Again, do not quote me on that. But if it was, that shows it's been about 4 races since he has. And since then, he's only scored 1 point. As Porsche has been forced off the road by the Red Bull, he's now lost quite a bit of ground. As Verstappen round the outside of Lando Norris into P2 goes the Sauber. Could we see Sauber go for a win here? Maybe. As the other Sauber of Hamilton and then the Ferrari of Sergio Perez working their way up the field, as they've had a pit lane start due to change of components. As now Verstappen catching Charles Leclerc into turn 1, looks to the inside, gets another dose of DRS to the inside now, but Leclerc covers him off. He's going to go really narrow and get his way past. Max Verstappen leads here as there's a yellow flag. It looks like it's the two Haas cars. As let's have a look at this. Bottas going past there in Porsche into turn 3, turn 4. And there's just Antonelli. Goes deep. Smacks into the side of Bottas. Jeremy says that he might have to do some mid-season changes. Unfortunately, I'm not able to edit the drivers in a save mid-season. So it will have to come post-season, but you can of course make mid-season signings for your next season, so on and so forth. But you can't unfortunately change mid-season. As Verstappen, he's 1.7 ahead. Kimi Antonelli has received the penalty for the incident, as Piastri has just overtaken Lando Norris. It's 5 seconds for Antonelli for a collision caused between his teammate and Terry Porsche, who's lucky not to have been given any damage. As there's Piastri down the inside of his teammate, unable to get the move done yet, but he's on the more durable tyres, so he's probably going to be able to get past in the long run. As Ricciardo, mechanical fault now. Piastri catching Charles Leclerc in the straight, but so is Norris. And now another round of DRS. We go. Piastri up into P2. Leclerc hangs on the inside. Gets DRS now for this straight, which is quite crucial. And there's Leclerc back up into P2. But Piastri off the road. He's now plummeting. He's in P9 now. As Alex Albon's also had a moment. Looks like he may have had a spin. Yes, it is. Spin in turn 4 for Alexander Albon. Let's have a look. Just drops the car on the apex.
Sorry.
And ends up in the gravel trap. That's another car who's gone off there. As Piastri down to P9 now, after being arguably forced off by his teammate here. As Behrman all over the back of the second Red Bull. And it's a VSC, it's Yuki Tsunoda who's gone off in turn 1. It's back-to-back events where he has crashed. DRS is disabled, and it's Yuki Tsunoda out of the session.
Okay, so
let's have a
into
look
turn 1 here.
Into the corner, he just goes deep,
Clearly
spins
unable
the
to
car
take evasive action.
on the dirty
That
part
won't
of
do
track
the
and
car
just slams
any
into
good
the
at
wall.
all.
That is Yuki Tsunoda's race come to a close for the 3rd time this season, and that is another DNF for Mercedes. They have DNF'd about 7 times this season. But yeah, that's one less car for Behrman to defend, as Leclerc has chosen to pit. He sees times right. He's going on to the hards. You do lose less time for pitting under VSC and safety car. Colapinto, Lawson, Hamilton and Perez all following suit with that decision. So is Andrea Kimi Antonelli, as the VSC is still out. Great time for them to actually pit. And arguably, the front runners have missed out on the opportunity, as the Leclerc could now be arguably one of the favourites to win here in Austria. As Behrman currently in the middle of trying to defend his P9 over Carlos Sainz and trying to attack Oscar Piastri for a high result. As we just wait for the VSC to finally come to a close, and that happens, we will see some racing, and it's coming very shortly, ladies and gents. Get ready for some racing. As Ricciardo's up in P4, we are back underway here in Austria. We've just missed the DRS zone for Porsche, so he's unable to get past Alonso on the restart. And now we just have to wait till the next opportunity comes round. And now Porsche DRS on Alonso, to the inside he goes, he was behind over detection, so he's going to get another go at it. To the inside he goes this time, and up into P5 goes the second V-carb, as George Russell is starting to catch Lando Norris a little bit. Is it enough to maybe pose a move in the next lap or so? I think it could be, as it's again another great race for the Alpine. As Russell now DRS on Norris. He has a little move, but Norris covers off. Now next attempt to the outside for turn 3. We've seen more down the inside. Norris will get DRS on exit though. And now it's a drag race. Better traction on the exit of Russell. Higher top speed for Norris. As Albon and Hadjar now pit. Just look at how far back they are from Lawson and Colapinto. A good 15 seconds. Which really shows how, if you pitted under the VSC, how much you're benefiting here from having a shorter pit stop time. As it's Norris going for the lead on Max Verstappen. Past he goes with DRS. Russell's even going to make his day worse by going for 2 moves into one straight. Verstappen down 2 in the span of turn 3 to turn 4. Oliver Behrman fighting Piastri and Carlos Sainz. Sainz having a look to the inside. Verstappen and Ricciardo now both dive into the pits. This is a good chance to compare where they come out with Charles Leclerc, who is just behind this battle. They both come out behind Leclerc and by a fairly clear distance. Ricciardo's actually jumped Verstappen in pits, so there may have been a pit stop issue there for the Sauber. As Behrman to the inside of Piastri, up into P6 he goes. Not for long though, as Leclerc is catching, and he's on the back of this group. Sergio Perez, great drive. He's actually pitted under the VSC and now ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. And that really shows how those in top 3 are under threat from that Ferrari of Perez. So it's been a great strategy call for a man who started in the pit lane. He is now fighting in a place where he's arguably in contention for this race win. Leclerc down the inside of Behrman, going to really try and push him round. Behrman just getting better traction and exit, but just the better line for Leclerc. Sees him get the place, and now he just has to overtake Piastri, who is now under threat with DRS. Leclerc dummy to the inside but goes to the outside. He just swoops past, and that is Leclerc into P6. And 4 gaps is 15 seconds between Leclerc and George Russell, which says quite a bit about the advantage he has accumulated under the VSC. As now Leclerc, he's already all over the back of Porsche. He overtakes Porsche into the pits. And now Leclerc up into P5, that's one less place to worry about. Porsche was behind Gasly. Gasly's his next target, as Ricciardo and Perez are starting to catch this battle between Behrman and Piastri over P6 now. Is there going to be a move for Behrman? He gets DRS on Piastri into turn 4, down the inside he goes. It's almost like a reversal of the battle between him and Leclerc only a few laps ago, but this time Piastri doesn't have to think about defending into the next corners. Porsche hit with a mechanical fault. Into the pits comes Piastri and Behrman out of Ricciardo's way. Great timing for the Alpine to catch him, as now he only has 6 seconds to Charles Leclerc to catch. That's not a lot of damage to do, and he is on slightly fresher tyres. But what we see back here, Hamilton versus Verstappen, as Verstappen squeezes Hamilton out wide. If Barry is watching, don't worry, the top 4 are yet to pit. But Hamilton went from basically last with the pit lane start to now fighting Verstappen on lap 24 when they've both pitted once. So it does show how the VSC has helped, as Antonelli loses place to Albon, Sainz loses a place to Piastri, and Perez now all over the back of Daniel Ricciardo. Is he going to make a move there? It was a ballsy, opportunistic move, and fails to do so. He's going to get DRS this next straight though. To the inside he goes. Ricciardo can't defend, he got so much better traction, and then Perez gives Ricciardo a little nudge off the road. Porsche fastest lap of the race now, and he's still behind Fernando Alonso by about a second. Colapinto and Lawson not far back either, but it looks like when Gasly pits, the 2 McLarens are going to gain that place off him. As now Perez down the main straight. Where's Russell compared to him? Russell is actually behind Verstappen and even behind Daniel Ricciardo. So we do have a race on our hands here. Russell, he's going to want to start getting past the likes of Ricciardo and Verstappen with about 1 car in being passed in the space of a lap. You can't be stuck in the dirty air of the car head on brand new tyres for too long. And there's Russell to the inside. Hamilton even having a little glance at Ricciardo, but Ricciardo's going to fight back on Russell. To the inside he goes. He's going to get DRS again for this straight. He's going to just pull himself closer to Russell, but Russell just got so much better traction. And who got better traction through there was Porsche on Alonso, as he's moved up into P9. And now it's the chance for Porsche to catch mechanical fault for Antonelli, as he has locked up into turn 4. Let's have a look here with that. He's ahead of Williams, just
Oh,
goes
and the car
into
locks
the gravel
up.
trap.
Just unable to control the car.
And that's him down the order. As Porsche catching the Alpine and the Sauber, dueling over P7 here. Down the inside Hamilton goes. He's going to get the move done on Ricciardo, who was in the top 5 last time out. Both of them were, to be fair, and Porsche has just gone round the outside of Ricciardo. Absolute beautiful stuff. As Alonso is even having a look to see whether or not he can make a move. As round the outside of Ricciardo he goes, and he's got it done. Absolute amazing. Porsche to the inside of Hamilton. He's going to send it on the softs compared to the hard compounds, and up into P7 he goes. This race already proving to be unclear who will win, especially from P4 down to P10. They're only split by about 5 to 6 seconds, so they will be fighting for almost the whole length of this race, as Leclerc is catching Lando Norris here, who has stayed out. But if you look at the tyres, Leclerc and Gasly doing really well with them. Could be looking at a one stop, because if Norris puts hards on and goes to the end, same as Gasly, they're both running for podiums here, which is crazy to think about. So if they can make it, well, if Norris can make it to about lap 34 on the mediums, he can cruise to the end on the hards. If Gasly can make it to lap 36, he will have to manage the mediums to the end. As we just continue to watch this battle burn down, we are rapidly approaching the halfway stage. It's a lap 31 of 71, and we've got the two Ferraris dueling. Russell down the inside of Perez, better tyres for Russell, and therefore he's up into P5. For some context, Perez and Hamilton ended up starting from the pits, and then a VSC came out, which saw them make big jumps up the field. That's why they're so high from starting so low. Norris and Gasly both pitting now. Norris can still probably make it to the end, as Russell sets fastest lap. He's around the outside of Max Verstappen, and now Russell can try and hunt down Charles Leclerc, who's in a land of his own here. He's a good 7 seconds down the road in the Red Bull, which arguably has had horrible form, especially over the last few events, only with Leclerc scoring 1 point in each of them. So yeah, this could be big for Leclerc's drivers and Red Bull's constructors. If they can get a win here, they will be able to hold off Sauber for at least another event, as Sauber are starting to pile the pressure on with the what was dominant Red Bull team at the start. As there's Verstappen looking for routes around Russell, as they are both catching Charles Leclerc now, as Porsche has just overtaken Sergio Perez. Well, Porsche is the leading RB here. He started on grid ahead of his teammate, and he's currently showing his teammate how it's done. He's up in P4 defending Sergio Perez. Well, Norris is in P9 making a move on Daniel Ricciardo. DRS now up into turn 3, there you go. And there's Norris, surely he gets moved done. He's managed to place it perfectly. He's got DRS for this next straight, as Lawson and Behrman duel here, as Behrman pushing after Ricciardo. He's just made it 2 cars down for Ricciardo in the space of about half a lap. And now Ricciardo should be under threat from Liam Lawson, as in my eyes it is extremely difficult to decide what cars where in this development train, because Lawson's doing great results now. He's really pushing towards the higher point, like low end of points, yet unable to get them. The Aston Martins have had an upturn in form because both cars own points, and based off their pace they will both get points, and it'll be the first time this season that Behrman scores points. And if Lawson also bags some here, it'll be first time this season he does so. But however, Gasly, he's starting to work his way through the field. He's moved up into P12, overtaking Carlos Sainz with some DRS in his, but he defends beautifully from Sainz's counter-attack. and now has a good chance to try and catch Lawson, just getting within DRS range and get sorted, which he has done quite swiftly. Leclerc now being overtaken by George Russell, who will retake the race lead here, as it shows the VSC. It helped for long run, well, for short run, but not for long run, as there's Lawson trying to get past Ricciardo, who is stuck behind Behrman. As there's a yellow flag out on track, it looks like it's Alex Albon who has locked up in turn 1. Let's have a look at this and pause the action unravelling around him.
And there's the lockup. By that point, it was just too late.
On the run-up. As we go back to this battle, Ricciardo all over the back end of Oliver Behrman. Is there going to be a move though? DRS now in use. Lawson's having a go. Gasly's having a go. Ricciardo not though. And now Ricciardo secondos. Gasly, however, just cruises past all three of them. Lawson, Behrman and Ricciardo in the space of one sector, which is absolutely insane. As Alonso and Perez both flying in their own respect, they both worked their way up past Porsche as Leclerc and Russell continue a duel. And now Behrman, DRS on Gasly, they should be pulling away. But Hamilton to the outside of Lando Norris. Brit versus Brit, Sauber versus V-Carb. Hamilton just gets better traction on the exit. He's up into P7. The V-Carbs are really seeming to be struggling, especially when Ferrari are scoring more than double their points. Even if you took Perez out of this scenario, as Porsche now in the pits. Perez, Verstappen and Alonso fighting over the final podium position. Porsche trying to trigger an undercut here. We can have a look at the tyres. Norris definitely is going for a one stop. He's only burned 15% in about 6-7 laps. Whereas Gasly, he's on soft, so yeah, he is of course going for another stop. Hopefully Verstappen pits soon though. He's on the mediums. And he has the lowest tyre percentage out of all cars, apart from Behrman, who has now just pitted. So yeah, it is him with the lowest tyre wear. And now we see Verstappen DRS on Alonso, but currently unable to make a move. Perez now set free from Verstappen, however they have a Haas on the back of them. If I'm right, it is Andrea Kimi Antonelli who is trying to unlap himself here, which he currently is unable to do, as Verstappen has came out right behind Terry Porsche, who is not, well, a few seconds off of Liam Lawson. Daniel Ricciardo just really struggling in that Alpine today. It's from what was such a good result in Monaco and in Netherlands, it's all kind of gone to the mud this weekend for the Alpine. They started both cars in points for the first time this season, and now they have no cars in the points, as Hamilton has just pitted. He's came out behind Daniel Ricciardo, behind Colapinto, as Verstappen dueling Porsche now. I said this analogy earlier was Sauber versus V-Carb. They had a very brief rematch, but with different drivers, as Verstappen's just pushed Lawson off, and that's to let Porsche straight past. However, yeah, the pecking order's really died out a bit. But Hamilton passing Colapinto into P12 goes the Saubers. Ricciardo promotes himself into the points. Liam Lawson being caught napping a bit as DRS for the McLaren. But he has Hamilton round the outside. He's not going to make it easy. Up into P11 goes Hamilton. He's going to try and make it very swift on Daniel Ricciardo. not get held up for too long, as he is 9 seconds back from Théo Pourchaire. Bottas hit with mechanical fault. You can see so many cars have a mechanical fault here. So it's all showing that their engines are going to the knife edge here. As Colapinto overtakes Ricciardo, Lawson's going to try it down the inside, but unable to do so. Ricciardo loses 1, but not 2 to the McLarens. As Pourchaire right behind Max Verstappen, who is very much on the gearbox of Carlos Sainz, both with DRS, but currently Verstappen secondos, Pourchaire secondos as well. They both look to the inside, but Sainz just defending perfectly. He's not letting anyone by. As you can see there, Verstappen to the outside, and that is him up into P7. Will Pourchaire be able to follow suit? We'll ride on board with Pourchaire, literally on board inside his helmet for good measure, as our Williams, who he was chasing, has pitted. But at least that's gave Verstappen at least 1 lap of breathing room. As Norris, he's trying to duel his way back through the field. He's going down the inside of Perez, but instead catches Alex Albon on the inside. As it looks like Albon and Antonelli are both trying to unlap Norris here. As Perez has dived into pits, so has Charles Leclerc. Leclerc probably trying to trigger an undercut here on George Russell, as that seems to be where this race lies in Austria, about who can make it to the end quickest, who will undercut who. But yeah, Verstappen now right behind Pierre Gasly. Is there going to be another move for the Sauber, as the Mercedes trying to do its best? But off goes Verstappen. We can see immediately just spins the car, and that's him off. But he is back underway, and now Gasly free to pit. Leclerc rapidly approaching Pourchaire. He is 1.3 off him, and now it's within a second. With that DRS assistance, he's going to get another set of DRS assistance. However, he's to the outside, round the outside of Pourchaire he goes. He's up into P for Verstappen. His tyres are wrecked, is the best way to put it. He's done quite a bit of damage to him through spinning, and now Hamilton's even ahead of him, as it's fastest lap for Charles Leclerc here, who is about 21 seconds back on George Russell. Théo Pourchaire defending a lapped car of Isaac Hadjar, if I'm right. If I'm wrong, then it's Daniel Ricciardo, but I do not think he is that far back. But that just shows how far off the pace Alpine have been this race. They've just came out of a really strong result, and now they're in the mud. As I'll be honest, this season really has came to life in the more recent events, with Alpine, Mercedes both challenging high up in the points. Ricciardo even was leading for a good 10 laps or so in Zandvoort. Like, that says enough. As we have Norris, DRS on Fernando Alonso, to the outside he goes. I don't think he needs another blow with it, as Alonso, he's going to try and counter-attack him. To the outside he goes, and down the inside goes a lapped car, but the lapped car won't be able to. Norris now dueling Alonso down the hill. Norris loses the place in the end, as Norris just doesn't have that DRS assistance, which is crucial to deciding a place here. With 3 DRS zones, you kind of need it for the final one. If you don't have it for the final one, you're going to be the car behind 9 out of 10 times. Gasly mechanical fault, it says. As Hamilton catches Pourchaire, with Verstappen desperately trying to overtake him. Hamilton, however, DRS assistance holding off Verstappen and up past the V-carb, as that's now Sauber P5, P6, as Verstappen swiftly follows through with it. And now Pierre Gasly just being dragged along by Carlos Sainz here, who's in no man's land really. With Behrman also just behind, could that Aston Martin still get points here? It's a possibility, and I will not be ruling them out at all. As Carlos Sainz, fastest lap of the race. As we can again look at tyres, Russell really on the edge of pitting. I personally think Norris is now trying to convince us that he can go to the end on it. Meaning, Leclerc will have to try and catch him come the end of this race. Alonso will have to pit again. Hamilton may be able to make it. So will Verstappen and Porsche. So it is quite obvious that there are quite a few places to still be earned, as one of them, for example, is P3. Leclerc down the inside of Fernando Alonso, up he goes. Now can he challenge Lando Norris in the V-Carb? If you remember this, it's a splitting image of Japan. Leclerc behind Norris in the latter stages of the race. However, it's not for first this time, it's for second, as Russell is still out on track, so is Alonso. But I'm pretty sure Alonso will be pitting soon. Red damage for Taro Porsche. It will be him out of the race if I'm right.
Seems like a terminal failure to me. Not much that they could do.
As I can't really see much out of it. But it says severe damage, and that icon usually means they're out. As Norris trying to overtake Leclerc but unable to. As it's two Saubers versus a Ferrari here over P5 and 6, with Porsche now looking like he is out of this race with 15 to go. We are not far at all from the end. Porsche now into the pit. We can probably see him retire here, as yeah, he just goes straight into his pit box. Nothing much more to negotiate about that, as Leclerc has dropped to Norris and on the charge for George Russell. Again, there's about 15 or so laps to go. That graphic takes a few laps to get away, but now Leclerc very close to DRS range on the Ferrari, fastest lap as well for the Red Bull for good measure. Russell, if he pits, he will come out a whole pit stop behind Leclerc. So this race really is Leclerc or Norris in terms of who will win, as Perez has just overtaken Hamilton for P4, but Hamilton will try and fight back. He looks to the outside, unable to get the move done. And now, even though Behrman has had so many cases where he should have been out of the points, he's back in it because Porsche is DNF. And now Leclerc has overtaken Russell, but will Russell be able to hang back on? He's now got DRS assistance on the Red Bull, gaining, but he is out of DRS range, so it's going to be very minimal benefits. But Hamilton to the inside, no to the outside, but still just no. Perez won't let him by. That's why quite a few call him the Prime Minister of Defence. Here he looks like the Prime Minister of Ferrari, as Russell, he's played the strategy wrong. Or because he didn't pit under VSC, and look at that now. 3 of the cars who pitted under VSC are in the top 5 here, and all going to the end. As there's yellow flag, it says Lando Norris mechanical fault. Is it going to be another DNF though for the V-Carb? How severe is it? As Hajar has a locked up turn on, let's have a look.
So here we go, heading
he
into
started
turn
P10
1.
here, he is now last of the current drivers
And
remaining.
the car just locks, but that's just the risk
He does
you take.
like the carbon copy of what's done about 20 laps ago. As Perez fastest lap of the race, he is catching Lando Norris. And I'll be honest, Ferrari need this result now. They're 3rd and 6th. They're probably going to end up 2nd and 3rd if this goes right. If it goes wrong, 2nd and 4th. Because I personally think Russell's going to catch Verstappen by lap 65 and then catch Hamilton for the final lap. Because he can go full push. Another reminder of tyres. because this could be a crucial factor here. Norris has weaker tyres than Leclerc does, so it looks like Leclerc will probably win it. As 10 laps to go. Perez very close to DRS range of the V-Carb, who is struggling here. And now he is within DRS range, so expect to see an attack into turn 1, turn 2. And same said about George Russell and Verstappen. He's surely going to be within DRS range over the detection point. He is now as we speak. As there's a look to the outside goes Perez, but there's contact. Norris and Perez make contact. There's debris all over the racing line. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some form of VSC or safety car, because a look at that, it's all over the exit of turn 1. If someone gets a puncture, that is massive. As it looks like there won't be, as Sainz overtakes Alonso into P7, but Alonso just defends well enough to hang on. Investigation incident between Norris and Perez. No penalties are given for it. As it looks like there's a hole inside that V-Carb's, well, motivation for one. As they go racing again, Perez now down the inside. Hamilton is going to make it 2 moves on Norris in the same corner, but Norris will fight back with the DRS assistance. Russell's up into P5. Lando Norris, he is just constantly dropping. He is losing this race per minute, per second even, as Charles Leclerc looks like he will be the first driver to get 3 wins this season. As Hamilton to the inside, he's going to get another round of DRS. Up into P3 he goes. George Russell now having a lunge. He looked, but thought better. Now DRS on Norris to the inside. Will Russell go for it? No, he won't. This is what we kind of want to see. The 2 title rivals at the moment go at it between each other. As if Norris drops even further, Russell will be catching closer and closer. As now Russell is in P4 here, but Norris just DRS range. I personally think Norris could be in threat from the likes of Fernando Alonso, which arguably is territory he wouldn't want to enter. As Russell now within DRS range of Lewis Hamilton, but he's gone wide and lets Norris back through. It has just gone all wrong for George Russell here, as Hamilton trying to keep up with Sergio Perez, who I'm pretty sure has picked up some damage from contact with Lando Norris. But there's Russell again, back past only a lap later, and now I'm pretty sure Norris is going to be caught up behind Alonso, who has just overtaken Verstappen for P6. So Norris, Alonso, Verstappen all gunning for P5 here. Norris really off the pace with the damage now. As you can just see, the mechanical faults are getting quite ridiculous here. As Russell, fastest lap, minute 4.0, 3 seconds off what they were setting in quali. As Alonso up into P5. Lando Norris down to P6. Hamilton, however, down the inside of Sergio Perez, and Perez has spun. Perez has gone round. Russell onto the podium. That has all just gone wrong. We've just watched that unravel. I don't think Hamilton's held responsible there, because they were all too ill. But now Russell, he's going to try and overtake Hamilton and get the Ferrari back into the top 2. 3 laps to go here. Leclerc 12 seconds clear. He is going to be your race winner here today, unless he does what Perez has done into this corner. Russell down the inside of Hamilton, and he's up into P2 now. Norris has just been overtaken by Max Verstappen. He's down to P6. There's 10 points, no, 11 points Russell is gaining on Norris. Will there be more? We are now entering the penultimate lap here. If Sainz catches Norris for the final lap, Norris will probably drop. But I think Norris has got his eyes set on keeping pace with Verstappen. As Gasly all over the back of Carlos Sainz now. DRS to the inside he goes. This is for 6 points. Unable to get the move done. Final lap now. Lawson just overtaking Colapinto here. And now we can see the McLarens dueling once again. Lawson gets the move done. He hangs on as Gasly DRS on Carlos Sainz. Is he going to go to the inside yet? No, he won't. Isaac Hadjar hit with a mechanical fault. This time it's going to be terminal. As we are going to see Charles Leclerc. He hasn't won since round 2. He wins here today. Russell will be coming round P2. Lewis Hamilton will take another podium for Sauber, which is a great result. But still, Norris, Verstappen, they're pushing to the line. Norris had a bit of DRS but wasn't close enough. Gasly tries to do the same thing with Sainz. Perez P9. Behrman will be picking up debut points for Aston Martin. He's been waiting all season as Colapinto misses out to Liam Lawson. Bottas will be missing out on Daniel Ricciardo. But that is the race over and done with. As you can see there, Isaac Hadjar has DNF'd on track. As Berry, congrats with your 3rd and 5th. That's your best result this season. And it's the end of May as well. So yeah, quite a big result. But Charles Leclerc back on top. He wins here, followed by George Russell, who gained 8 places. Lewis Hamilton from the pits to 3rd. An absolutely outstanding drive by the Kick Sauber. Fernando Alonso P4, Max Verstappen P5, Lando Norris in 6th, Carlos Sainz and then Gasly up 7 places there, 7th and 8th. Sergio Perez P9 up 13, could have been up about 18, but he ended up DNFing. Well, no, he didn't DNF, he spun out, that's what I meant. Oliver Behrman points however here in Austria. Liam Lawson misses out on points again. Franco Colapinto just behind him in P12. Daniel Ricciardo down 6. Bottas also down 6. They're 13th, 14th. Piastri however lost 10 places. He had an absolutely horrible race. P15 for the Red Bull. Alex Albon 16th. Antonelli 17th. Hadjar down 9. He started in points. He failed to score any. But to be fair, Ricciardo failed to as well. Hadjar P18, Porsche and then Yuki Tsunoda both retiring from this race with George Russell fastest lap. I hope you all have enjoyed this race as much as I have, and I'll see you all tomorrow for 2 more races, Silverstone and the Hungaroring. Goodbye.